Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to the garage. It's time for another episode of Just the Facts, where I give you the facts you need to command or kill today's tank. Today we're having a long overdue look at the KV-2, whose performance on the battlefield has an almost mythical status. But in truth, sometimes KV-2 trolls you instead of the enemy. Sometimes you're the windshield, and sometimes you're the bug with this tank. But my goodness, when KV-2 works, it really works. I'm going to start with the guns for KV-2 because there are more than one choice. The first gun that I consider a viable choice is the 107mm ZIS-6. This is a tier 7 gun and it has a decent rate of fire of 6.19 rounds per minute. Considering it can penetrate 167mm and dish out 320 hit points of average damage, deplorable accuracy at 0.45, and a glacial aiming time of 3.4 seconds keep this from being a sniper's weapon. Our other major choice, and the one that 99% of KV-2 drivers use, is the 152mm M10. Everyone runs HE with this gun because even the HE has 86mm of penetration, and if it does pen, you will get an average damage of 960 hit points. KV-2 with this gun can one-shot most lights and mediums at tier 5 through 7, and this is what brings on the myths about KV-2. People are extremely cautious when they know there's a KV-2 around the corner, when they know they could be vaporized with one shot. In my opinion, this is what makes KV-2 viable on the battlefield, though. KV-2 needs to one-shot people, because KV-2 does not have the armor, maneuverability, reload times, or the hit points to brawl effectively, let alone when you're packing the 107mm. Now let's face it, people love to kill KV-2 if they can. You'll be singled out for special attention and you will need to be able to deal with these tanks decisively. And that's what the 152mm does for you. The 107mm ensures that you are going to have to trade shots and hit points at short to medium distances, which KV-2 can ill afford to do. The 152mm is nothing to write home about when you look past the amazing alpha damage. A rate of fire of 2.5 rounds per minute is likely the worst rate of fire in the game, and the off-the-charts accuracy of 0.60, remember, Soviet accuracy uses big numbers, the bigger the better, and an aim time of 4 seconds, long enough to skip an entire generation. These are amazingly bad specs, but that alpha makes everything worthwhile. KV-2 can occasionally make amazing long-distance shots despite these atrocious figures. And honest to God, folks, there is nothing in this game more satisfying than blowing a full-health opponent to smithereens with just one shot. I mentioned that maneuverability was bad, but let's see just how bad that really is. A power-to-weight ratio of 11.19 horsepower per ton is not the worst one in the game, but it's down there bumping elbows with it. Hull traverse of 18 degrees and a turret traverse of 16 degrees make operating this tank a very deliberate act. Changing direction on a whim or under pressure is not an enjoyable experience. Top speed of 35 kilometers per hour isn't bad, but it has trouble reaching it in my experience. Climbing hills? Put it on cruise control and head in the back and make a sandwich. This is going to take a while. What sort of armor profile does KV-2 have? Well, it's not as good as KV-1 at tier 5 because it's the same hull. 75mm on the front, sides, and 70mm on the rear. The same as KV-1. Well, KV-1 does pretty good though. Many bounces. That's true, but KV-1 doesn't see tier 7. Not only this, but KV-1's turret is far stronger than KV-2's turret. KV-1's turret has 110mm of armor on the front, sides, and rear, but KV-2's turret is armored the same as the hull, 75mm on the front and sides, and 70mm on the rear. Be sure to angle your armor in order to have half a chance of bouncing anything, and make a little sacrifice to Matchmaker to bring you many tier 5 opponents. So, is there any way we can improve our chances of success while driving KV-2? Are there any worthwhile consumables and provisions we can use? Sure there are. For consumables, I like to run the multi-purpose restoration pack, the engine power boost to help out a bit with those nasty hill climbs, and adrenaline to reduce the agony of reloading the gun by 20%. For provisions, I recommend the improved fuel, as it increases your turret traverse by 10%, which we need, and adds a further 10% to engine power. Combine that with the engine power boost consumable and KV-2 can actually get up those hills reasonably quickly. I also like to run the extra combat rations and the protective kit. KV-2 can pack 36 rounds into its ammo racks at the beginning of a battle, and my loadout consists of 30 HE rounds and 6 premium rounds for those situations where only spicy ammo will do. And for equipment, I like to run the improved ventilation to give the crew a little boost, the gun rammer to reduce reload times by 10%, and we do need that, and the enhanced gun laying drive to reduce the abominable aim time by 10%. So, what's cool about the KV-2? Boom is what's cool. One-shotting small, unsuspecting tanks never, ever gets old. And when you can make all that earth-shattering kaboom from long distance with this gun, that's just icing on the cake. Don't stand in front of a KV-2, folks, unless you really don't need all those hit points for anything. Heck, even if KV-2 misses with HE, you could easily be hurt by the splash damage. What if you have to fight KV-2? How are you going to survive that? The chances are excellent that any vehicle you will be driving will have superior mobility to KV-2, except perhaps HMS Tog, so use that to your advantage to keep out of line of that massive cannon. As well, if you have 75mm or better penetration, shoot for any vertical, flat-sided surface, except maybe the tracks, and you'll have no problem penning and doing damage. 860 hit points later, boom, you win. Well folks, there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. If you really enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments. As well, be sure to visit my social media pages, both on Facebook and Twitter. This is where I post info that, well, not belonging in a video, it's worth taking a look at. I would also like to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters. You folks are making a huge difference for me. If you like what I do and enjoy the community all of us humans are building, please consider supporting the mission via my Patreon page. There are quite a few options with varying levels of support. Maybe one of them will suit you. Links to all things in the video description. Alright folks, thanks very much for stopping by and watching. I'll catch you next time.